Hitting a ball against a wall, like this person in a squash court, will have a big effect on the ball. The time it takes for the ball to get from the racket to the wall is about 1/100th of a second. But look what happens when we slow the action right down. When the ball hits the wall, it changes shape and direction really quickly. When the ball pushes on the wall pushes back and the ball is squashed almost flat before it springs back to its normal shape and travels back.
This is Covent Garden in London. It's a great place to visit, full of music and life, and it's also home to a really unusual toy shop, the Cabaret Mechanical Theatre.
Well, the one thing you'll notice first of all is that the music's really loud in here, and I've never heard that kind of music before, and also it's very dark, but if you look very closely inside, it's full of hidden treasures here, and the one thing is that they all come to life in one way or another. Let's see what happens here. The really clever thing about all these models is what's actually making them work. Now here in the shop they're all linked to an electric motor, so if I press this button here, I turn on the power and everything starts to work. But what makes models just like this one really special is the fact that they don't actually need electricity. And in fact they're designed to work just as well by hand. And that's why it's got a handle right here, and if I just turn it, the model starts to work.
Oh, I could have played with those toys all day, but instead I wanted to find out more about the way they worked. So I went to meet Keith Newstead, the man that makes them.
Now Keith, you're working on my particular favourite here, so I'll try not to disturb you too much, but I will start playing already.
Okay.
What's the appeal for you for making these models?
Well, I've always made models. When I was young I used to make models, but they didn't move, and I saw a programme on the television about somebody who made moving models, and I thought that was a really good idea because it meant once you'd made the model, at the end you'd turn a handle and something would happen.
So the key question has to be, Keith, the fact that all I'm doing is turning this wheel, which is a very simple movement, yet I'm making everything else go up and down and round and round, like the pig that actually comes out the dustbin. How do you do that?
OK, well if you look here, this is a piece of wire which is attached to the pig. So if I push the wire up, it pushes the pig out of the dustbin. If I pull down on the wire, it pulls the pig back down. So I need a way to make this wire go up and down. And the easiest way is with the lever. So if I put the wire into the lever, now the lever is actually attached to one of the slow wheels. So as I turn the handle, as the wheel comes around, it pushes down the lever, pulls the pig down. The lever goes back up and that makes the pig come back out of the dustbin.
So basically everything's connected.
Keith's toys work by hand, but that's not the only way you can get a toy to move without electricity. There are toys that work when you stretch a bit of elastic and then let it go. And there are toys that move when you push them, or knock them, or drop them. And there are toys that work by pedalling, and toys blown by the wind.
Oh, and if there's no wind about, then a helpful puff of breath will do, I hope. Here it goes.
You know when you catch a gust of wind on one of these things, it's almost enough to yank your feet off the ground. It's really strong. In fact, if I was on wheels right now, the force of the wind would be enough to drag me, hurtling, right down the beach. Something like that. Right now, right now, right now.
This brilliant gadget's called a kite buggy. All you need are wheels, a kite and a gust of wind and you've got yourself some serious speed.
Kite bugging has really taken off over the last few years. It's a brilliant way of trapping the power of the wind to make movement. And this weekend, people gathering from all over the country to race them, because here on Romney Beach, they're holding a festival of wind and wills.
All the different craft on show had their own special way of using the wind, like these sand yachts that sail along like a boat on wheels. All the while, kite buggies buzzed around us like flies. Their enormous canopies filled the sky, and the buggies darted this way and that with amazing control.
There is no way I am leaving this beach today without having a go at kite bugging. I've got the gear, the waterproofs, helmet and the goggles. All I need is a man to show me how. And I think he's coming any minute now. Chris! Get over here, Chris. I want to know.
Alright, okay, I'm coming back.
How easy is it to control the kite?
Quite easy really, but we've got some very strong wind conditions today. And as you can see, I'm beginning to struggle a bit, but I've got it. I can take it.
I'm going to go in the back. You're going to give me a sort of piggy bank, aren't you, really?
Okay, let's go then, come on.
Here we go. How safe is it, by the way?
Yeah, fairly safe.
Yeah?
Got a safe track record up to now.
Oh, this is quite nice. It's quite a nice, gentle start. Totally soaked back here, but it's a great feeling.
Well, you haven't seen nothing yet. I'll take you for a rocket ride too.
She's a 10-month-old Labrador puppy. She doesn't know it yet, but tonight she's going to be involved in a very important rescue.
That's because Fable belongs to the Cliff Rescue Team, which helps people who get stuck or lost on the cliffs.
Fable, come here.
Tonight, Fable and her owner Rob are having a very important practice. Back at headquarters, the team was getting ready for the night ahead. Of course, for a night rescue, lights are vital, even for a practice run. By the time we hit those cliffs, it'd be pitch dark out there. It's a bit like a game of hide and seek, but for real. As the helicopter lifted up, we saw the lights of the town spread out below us. But within a few moments, we'd left them far behind, and darkness was all we could see. I suddenly realised just how much we'd need all the torches and lamps we had with us to cut through the darkness. In the end, it was the powerful helicopter lights which picked out Rob and Fable, safe on the cliff but far below us. It was a steep and tricky climb. Throughout the rescue, the helicopter hovered overhead to give us all the light we so desperately needed. Our brave Labrador was the real hero of the night. Not in the least bit worried by the bright helicopter headlights, she reached the cliff top smoothly and safely. She definitely made it look easy, but don't be fooled by all that tail wagging. A cliff top night rescue is a real adventure.
You lot seem to think that us badgers aren't very friendly because you don't see us during the day, but the real reason is our eyes see a lot better in the darkness. So we like to go out at night, look around, like me here in this playground. Let's have a look up here. Oh no, I'm not too sure about that. But the good thing is I can see where I'm going and smell my way as I go. I like to explore all the food that you've left for me overnight. Human beings are awfully lazy with putting things in bins. So there's plenty for me and my friends to eat, like this fella here. We can go around all night without being disturbed and eat whatever we fancy. What have you got there? Oh, charming. Not joining you then. Okay.
Anshu loved his bed. It was warm and cosy, a very snoozy-woozy sort of bed. And every night Dad said the same things. Good night, Anshu. And then he'd walk to the door and say, sleep tight, Anshu, sweet dreams, before turning out the light and closing the door. Now, Anshu wasn't afraid of the dark, but he was just a little curious about what happens. And every night it was the same. First, it was dark, very dark. Anshu wondered, are my eyes open or closed? He could feel Mr. Beans, his very favourite teddy bear, but he couldn't see him at all. And then he started to know that his eyes were open because, gradually, one by one, he noticed lights in the darkness. Across the room was a gentle light which always made him feel safe and cosy. Then, as his eyes wandered, he could see a long, thin slither of light. Sometimes white light raced across the curtains, lighting up the room, making shadows that swept around the walls. Then, when all was quiet, Anshu would peep through a gap in the curtains to look at the glowing yellow street light. But this time, he also saw 2 tiny yellow lights. Whatever could they be? Then they blinked at him. But there was also a special light which he sometimes saw in his room at night time, a soft silver glow which crept across the carpet. This was Anshu's favourite. Now that Anshu's eyes were getting used to the dark, he could see his toys in the corner and the books on his bookshelf, and beside them, numbers flashed steadily all through the night. And as he watched, his eyes grew heavy, and soon he was fast asleep, dreaming sweetly of cats and clocks and moons and cars and...
The city of Tromsø is built on an island in Norway and is the most northerly city in the whole world. It is surrounded by icy seas, and Vicky is arriving at 11 o'clock at night.
I think the sightseeing better wait till daylight. I'll see you in the morning.
At 9 o'clock the next morning, her alarm goes off.
It's still dark.
It's now 10 o'clock in the morning, and Vicky looks outside again. Still dark. "11 o'clock in the morning. And it's still dark.
Still dark.
It's now 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it's still dark.
so I reckon I need a bit of assistance from the weather station.
This is a meter for measuring the number of hours of sunlight.
So the sunshine meter's all the way up here, is it?
Yes, Vicky, it is.
But why?
It's because this is the best place to observe the sun. But you see, we don't use it now. We haven't used it for a long time because we know there's no sunshine to measure.
Well, I was beginning to wonder, it's so dark.
Yes, it's a dark time of the year, and for more than 8 weeks now we haven't had a sunrise. We have either darkness or twilight a few hours in the middle of the day.
In Tromsø, in winter, the nights seem to last forever. The sun never rises, but just before midday, a faint golden glow can be seen in the sky. Then, by 2 o'clock, it's dark again.
When it's not light, where's something bright? Put it on your left, put it on your right. Can't see by traffic, morning and night.